Hello!
What is going on, guys? It's Triple G here, back with another Borderlands 3 video, and today we're going to be going through the best current shields in Borderlands 3 and where you can find them and what they do. Guys, if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to the channel or join us over on Twitch. We stream 5 times a week, and otherwise, let's get straight into that video. So when it comes to shields, there are a ton of shields to choose from. However, I'm going to pick a handful of shields and tell you just exactly why these ones are strong and where you can find them from. So first up, we have the stopgap shield. Now, the stopgap shield, essentially, when it breaks, it gives you an immunity for 5 seconds. It can come with some other passives as well. This one I have here is considered one of the strongest ones in the game, because every time we use our action skill, we are going to trigger this shield break or fill. In this case, this shield break. So for example, when we're using our action skill, whether that's any action skill, we're going to get immunity for 5 seconds in addition to the immunity that we would get on shield break. This is very good on Flak, for example, which has his rack attack that will continuously recharge at a fast rate. So for example, you're going to be using the rack attack. You could use it like every 5 seconds and continue that immunity all the way through. But being said as well, that could still work for Mose, for example, or for Amara as well. Doesn't work so well on Zane because his action skill never actually ends, so you won't get to use that action skill again. Plus, he doesn't really need immunity when he's got his barrier around to do that job for him. In terms of where you get this shield from, you're going to be going to Eden 6 and you're going to go into Jacob's estate and you're going to go and farm a guy called El Dragon. The drop rate's probably around about 10 to 15%, so it's not too bad, but it's definitely worth the farm. So up next we have the Transformer Shield. Now the Transformer Shield is my personal favorite when it comes to shields. It gives it a complete immunity to shock, which obviously shock shreds through shields, so having that immunity is really good. And in addition to this immunity, it gives a 40% chance to absorb bullets, which will go into your reserves in terms of ammunition. So whilst you don't get a lot of ammunition, you do get 40% absorb, which is really, really good. This shield drops from Queen Antoinette in the Splinterlands. It's a decent farm, although there is a little bit of a trek towards it. It's not too bad at all. But in terms of shields, the Transformer is pretty much seen as the pinnacle of shields. It is really, really, really good for survivability. And again, action skills start with Mose is pretty good for triggering Tenacious Defense, but most people go for the action skill end bonus element just to add that additional damage to their builds. Up next, we have a new shield that came in DLC 4. This is the Plus Ultra. Now, the Plus Ultra's special ability is really simple. We have a 25% chance to absorb bullets as ammunition and increases our action skill cooldown rate by 30%. Now, this alone is very good, but in addition to this, it actually doubles our health at the same time and can roll with passives such as Novas, such as Turtles. So this is an incredibly adaptive shield depending on your build and depending on the passives that roll with it. This shield can drop from Benedict in the new DLC 4 areas as a decent drop rate, but can also drop from any of the named bosses within DLC 4. This is a very, very strong shield, and expect this shield to be included in most people's builds going forward. Up next, we have another favorite of mine. This is the Frozen Heart. Now, this shield is really, really nice. When the shield is depleted, a large Cryo Nova dealing a decent amount of damage will freeze enemies, and it actually returns health as well. The really good thing about this Nova is it pretty much freezes everybody that's not a named boss. So if you're surrounded by enemies and you do deplete your shield, those enemies will probably be frozen around you. Now, where it comes into its own is if you combine this with action skill start. So you can trigger when this shield does its Cryonova and essentially freeze enemies at will. I use this on my AFK Zane build. It also works very good with Rack. You can run up to a bunch of enemies, use your action skill, and your action skill will probably kill or start doing its action kill. And you get to freeze these enemies as well. Combine this with something like an Icebreaker Victory Rush or something like that, and you're going to be doing a ton of damage. Up next, we have the Stinger shield, which drops from the Guardian takedown from halfway through from Anathema. Now, this shield is incredibly powerful for a multitude of reasons. So it has a quite small capacity, but you are going to want this shield to break. This shield does a melee Nova. Melee damage got buffed in Mayhem 2.0, and in addition to that, they added a Guardian rank called Groundbreaker, which calculates all the non-melee damage you do and then gives you 25% back on the next melee you use. You have this going off all the time, and anybody that procs Groundbreaker is pretty much going to die because you're doing 25% of whatever damage you've just done over the last 5 seconds. This is incredibly good on characters like Flak, for example, who can put out a ton of damage, lose their shield, and then 25% of millions and millions and millions equals death for anybody standing anywhere near you. In addition to that as well, action skill start anointment on this shield will trigger that Nova, so you can trigger exactly when and where these Novas go off. Up next we have the Old God Shield. Now the Old God Shield's special ability is that it boosts whatever element it comes in. So for example, this one is going to give a 20% boost in radiation, and we're also resistant to radiation. Gives us more damage resistance that can roll on it, as well as some other different roles and passives that it can have. The Old God is seen as a very, very good shield for characters like Amara, which she already has elemental buffs. So if you're going to be rocking a shock element while you're going through maybe the Malawan takedown, a shock Old God can really work wonders, giving that extra little bit of damage when needed. In terms of where this drops from any of the named bosses in DLC 2. A lot of people farm Empowered Grant or Amok. Amok is my personal favorite, a lot easier to get to and to kill, but you can do whatever you want. As long as it's a named boss in DLC 2, this shield is yours. So the last shield on this list is one that I didn't think I'd ever say. This is the Nova Burner shield. This shield, when combined with an action skill start anoint, will proc this Nova. Nova damage has recently been buffed in Borderlands 3, so you are going to be able to do a ton of damage on characters that can use their action skills quite a lot. Whilst not quite as good as the Stinger in my opinion, this shield deserves a place on this list, as you can put out a ton of damage for free just by using the Nova. The great thing about this shield is it's actually a world drop, so expect to see it from plenty of places. If you're going to try and farm something, just farm the boss that you can kill the quickest, or jump into something like the Slaughter Shaft. It's pretty simple to get. So guys, that's it for today's video. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel or join us over on Twitch. We stream 5 times a week. And otherwise, I'll catch you on the flip.